yeah. Yes, sirree. The only podcast of its kind in the world where you start the podcast off with some sweet soca. We say great is the art form, but at least I say that. I hope the world could join in. This is Everyday Lessons. Now, let me introduce myself one more time. I am Terran Jiger Calendar and my ever glorious co-host, Dr. Amala Luncheon. Want to say welcome.
Hi.
Yes, we're back here again. It is week 4 and how fast time flies. You understand? It's a beautiful Monday, week 4. If this is the first time you're tuning into the podcast, we say welcome, and we continue to always tell your friends, co-workers, family members that you found a gem in the social world, in the social media world. You found a new gem, which is Everyday Lessons Now. It's the perfect place for you to come and maybe get a different perspective on things surrounding, self-awareness and empathy and all of these things. A nice little place you can come and just sit down, relax, have a smile, and actually learn something. So we want to say thank you guys so much again. And on the screen, for those of you who are looking at us on YouTube, you're going to see all the information there. And before the evening is done, Dr. Amala is going to share with you all the necessary places that you can find us, all the social media handles and so on. So I want to welcome you again to week 4. This is where we really talk about everyday lessons, things that affect us each and every day. So I want to say welcome. How's been your weekend?
It was good. I look forward to getting to do these for Monday. So, my weekend was good. Nothing too stressful, nice and relaxing. So good.
Great. So welcome. So what are we going to tackle today? What are we talking about today?
I think today we could talk a little bit about self-management. Self-management because it allows everybody to understand what are some of the things that they could be doing to improve in the circles that they function in. Those circles, remember, we keep talking about the fact that we're doing these everyday lessons so that you understand how you function at work, at home, at play, wherever, house of worship, wherever. And understanding what self-management is one of the things that, we think could put you in good stead. So self-management really is about, like it says, being able to manage yourself. But what are some of the skills that you really should master if you want to take on self-management, or if you want to make sure that you're going in the right direction? So really, you have to be able to, in the first instance, control your actions, because someone who is just functioning out wild and crazy really is not controlling their own actions. And in addition to your actions, your feelings and your thoughts, you have to be able to manage your feelings. And it comes back to one of the things we talk about all the time, being self-aware. How are you able to control what you feel? What do you do when you understand those feelings? And what do you do with your thoughts? What are some of the things that you say when you talk to yourself? Those kinds of things are the things that really bring self-management into focus. So you want to understand, first of all, what the role is. What is this role that you need to manage yourself into? And we can get into what some of the roles might look like, where you work, where you go to church, where, all of those things. What is this role that you need to ensure you are perfect in? And we can talk about that for a little bit, and then we can go on to the next thing.
And for me, just to break it down for you guys, it's also, when she says understanding, one of the things I've learned over time, how you can better talk to yourself, is by journaling, writing things down. Writing things down is very important. It might sound corny to some. You might say writing down, I don't have time to write nothing down. But listen, writing things down and writing how you feel down, it's a big help in how you respond to people and how you deal with certain things. Because when you go back and read it, let's say, for instance, something happened that had you angry, but you responded in the moment. You might have cursed somebody else who in that moment might not deserve the curse out, or you might have operated, as we say this, well, I don't say we say this, it's something I say over time, that emotion trumps logic. And in a situation, your emotions could take over and allow you to react or answer inappropriately in certain situations. So that's why it's very important that if you write it down, or in self-management and being self-aware, you don't answer in the moment knowing that you it triggered you, because there are lots of triggers out there, things that could trigger you very easy. And in a moment, you might be triggered, and the first instinct is to tell that person how you really feel. But is it appropriate to tell that person how you feel depending on time and place? You might be somewhere where, in you saying that to feel better about yourself, then think about how it's going to be perceived by others looking on. So people in a room, let's say, you mentioned place of worship, you mentioned work, we can talk school, we can talk different places. Let's say, for instance, you're a professional cricketer and you disagree with a call the umpire made. And your response in that moment, because it's an intensity game, it's high, and you need the runs to win or whatever, and the umpire made a bad call, and you answer him in the moment. In that moment, you might be right, or you could be wrong. But let's say, for instance, for a second, you were right in the fact that the call was a bad call, but you reacted badly. So now spectators, teammates, other
the way you appealed could now cause other people to have some kind of reaction.
Some sort of reaction that's negative. And then if you had take time, see how you felt differently in that moment, because we're talking about a real-time moment here. You can't stop to journal how you're feeling. So this is where the self-awareness and the self-management come in. You can't stop to journal in this particular moment, but you can say what umpire so, and then have faith in the fact that the faculties of the game, because I'm no big cricket man, I can't tell you everything, but I'm just talking from a place of understanding common sense. Whereas they're going to have cameras now. The technology in sports is so different. They're going to then revert to, let's check this. And then in checking that, realize, oh, he was actually correct. The umpire was actually wrong. If you had blow up, even though you won the overall argument about being right, you would have lost the respect from your teammates, your peers,
the audience,
the fan base. So this is why it's very important in understanding self. So in self-management, all of these things have to go into play. So I'm just trying to bring it in a layman's way where you understand how important it is to pull back. And on a bigger scale, a larger scale, like one, and I say larger because this one carries more weight. You're talking in the home, in a husband and wife scenario. It carries more weight because this is the person you're living with. So you have to be careful how you answer in that moment. So this is when the journaling comes in handy. It's better that you write it down, put it to memory, you revisit it before you go answer, and end up where your entire situation is in shambles because of your ignorance or your ego, vice versa.
Or your unwillingness to
unwillingness to really take a step back and come down.
Yes.
All right.
Another important one is goal alignment, because in a number of situations, you may not necessarily have the same goals as the organization you're working for, as the team you're playing for, as you just said. So if the goals,
as the relationship you're in, let's not forget those at all. Very important. That's a big issue that a lot of people find taboo. We try not to talk about it at all. Correct.
Right. But you may not necessarily be on the same page, and you want to ensure that your goals are aligned. So if your goals are aligned, then you're able to manage self a lot better. There are things that you would not be out doing. There are things that you would do because, hey, we're on the same road here, so that could actually be helpful. Understanding the goals and making sure that those goals align. That is one of the helpful ones. Setting priorities as well. What are the priorities in this relationship where you're required to manage yourself? You should probably have a list. There are things that you can go down. So, we like to check off boxes. We all have apps that help us with productivity and so on. What are some of the things that are priorities? What's on your list? Those things are helpful when we're trying to make sure that we manage ourselves properly, because now once you have that, you're able to understand, hey, I'm falling short on this. I didn't do this today. This needs more attention, and so on. So having those things, that could be very helpful. The one that we talk about all the time, being self-aware, and we keep coming back to self-awareness because it is probably, I would venture to say, the most critical of the soft skills that we talk about. If you are aware of who you are in the specific situation that you find yourself in, it could help you navigate a lot of things way easier than one, just trying to wing it, or two, not understanding at all, not having that awareness. So self-awareness is a major one in self-management. So that's one of the things that, and we can talk about it some more. I'd like you guys to ask us questions. Send us an email at everydaylessonsnow@gmail. Talk to us a little bit about self-awareness and what you need help with. What are some of the things you'd like us to tell you about self-awareness, and how we can probably perhaps better package that so that it suits your specific area of concern. And then, of course, emotional regulation.
Before you move on to emotional regulation, just wanted to go back into a little bit when we spoke about taboo with respect to like a relationship.
Yes.
And goal, right?
Yes.
To make people understand exactly what we mean is you can be in a situation where you're in love with someone and the goal might be, because in some people's mind, but we have it all already. We're married. We in love. We have a house. We have 2 children. And that's that.
Fence and a dog.
It's fence and a dog, and it's done. But somebody in that relationship wants a little more.
Right.
You understand? Because they feel as though they're entitled to a little more. Because it has room for more. And I'm not talking about in terms of things. More within themselves.
Right.
In the relationship.
Yes.
Like you can be, well, okay, I've supported us to this point. We have been here at this point, but I always wanted to pursue a career in medicine. But you say, oh no, I have room, I have time. I would like the support to go there. That is where the goal alignment starts to it gets unbalanced, because now you're feeling as though, why? Because in your one person's mind, we have accomplished everything together. But now this is how you have to now understand to live in a space where somebody wants something for themselves and how to support that person.
Right.
And that is self-awareness in a way, because you have to be aware as to, listen, reading the room, as we say. You have to know that this is the person I've been with. So somewhere along the line, you would have heard this conversation come up before, but you had ignored it because you were on this train of us getting these things. And now we're at the point where we have everything. Now I feel as though one person in the relationship might feel comfortable enough now to come forward and say, listen, we have all of that, but now I want this.
Right.
You understand? So how could I get this now? And start asking the questions as to how can I get this? And that is something too when you're talking goal alignment. And it happens in everything. It could be at a job site where we all working in the same place. We have a job to get these numbers up here. Yes, we're getting the numbers up. But I also want this to be just a stepping stone in my career. So I am going to do these extra things because I am really interested in a different section of this business.
Right.
And the person who you're partnered with is very much complacent into, but I just want to come here to do what I do and bust out. I'm not interested in that and that and that and that.
What you're interested in.
What you're interested in. So this is where conversation and communication is very important. And it's all, again, will all be geared towards the self-awareness. So every week we come here, you will always hear us talk about self-awareness. You'll hear us talk heavily about that because it's connected to everything you do.
It really
right?
is.
And then there's the other facets and other things we'll get into. Like, for instance, there are moments in life, I don't want to go too far on it, but there are moments in life where you will have to employ empathy in order to excel in something, just to get support. Right? That's a whole next conversation. That's the next day.
Yes.
But I'm just saying,
yes.
Be reminded.
We could spend a few hours talking about being empathetic.
Of course. And just be reminded that every day in everyday life, self-awareness is the key for social, you understand, for emotional intelligence. All right? So you can move on.
Yes. I want to talk about being able to control your emotions. Because, again, as long as you're self-aware, then you understand if you're angry, you should walk away. We should journal, like you just described. And that's just angry. Sometimes you could be anxious about something and you need to just step back a little because you could be overly excited. Because a lot of times we think anxiety is always negative, but it could just be nervous energy about something good that's about to happen. And you may just have to step back a little.
That's kind of like me. I had nervous energy about starting this podcast 4 weeks ago. I felt as though, oh God, I was so excited to do it. So the first episode was like, whoo, chills. I experienced that. So at the end of the day, I don't want anybody who's looking at us or hearing us, listening to us, to believe that we are experts to the point where we are not human.
Right, exactly.
We all experience
because
everything.
I could talk about my anxiety about this, but that too we could put on a whole separate podcast. But yes, sometimes you really have to talk yourself off a ledge, whether it is it's good nervous energy, whether it's something negative. But as long as you're able to understand and assess those things, then you're well on your way. Not every emotion is a negative emotion, you know. Some emotions are happy, but someone else may not necessarily be at the place that you are at with the emotion. And so you need to be able to understand and, as you just said, read the room and figure out, okay, maybe I don't speak about this now. Maybe I wait until we both get on the same page and then talk about it. And then the last one I kind of want to talk about for self-management is self-care. What do you do to take care of yourself? Because sometimes you really need to step back and figure, what are some of the things that I can do to be a better version of myself around everything that we've spoken about? So that may be taking a walk in the morning, maybe you take a walk at night before you go to bed. It may be jogging, it could be meditation, it could be something that you know, this activity is going to relax me, this activity is going to be good for my mental health. And especially, you know, after the year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point that we've all been through, dealing with the pandemic, you want to make sure that you're taking some time for self-care. It could be having conversations with friends, because now a lot of the things that we do are digital. So we're really not having those verbal conversations. You know, you text everything and, you know, you send a voice note or whatever, and the communication is not necessarily in real time. And it may not necessarily be two-way at the same time. So little things like that, having the conversations, taking a walk, doing yoga, some meditation, you know, anything like that to really give you that self-care that allows you to help manage yourself a little better.
Yeah, and you hear people say all the time, if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of somebody else?
Right.
And we hear it and take it for granted, but it's very important that you honestly take care of yourself. It's the only way you can be a better you. For not only yourself but for others, especially in the case of if you're a parent, if you're in middle and upper management, anything that requires you being responsible for somebody else, you have to take care of yourself. It just comes to the territory. You cannot
First person you need to lead is yourself.
Correct. You cannot want, as they say, heavy is the man who wears the crown. And you know, now in the new age term, we can't say, man, heavy is the person who wears the crown.
Heavy is the head of the person that wears the crown. That's it.
Oh, heavy is the head of the person who wears the crown. You see? Thank you for that. So it's no gender inside there.
Right.
Heavy is the head of the person who wears the crown. And if that person is you in any particular, because that's every walk in life, somebody experiences that. Absolutely. It could be for the littlest of things. Remember, if you are a bus driver, you have the responsibility to take people to work safely.
Yes.
So in that moment, you need to take care of yourself, because God forbid you didn't, and on the ride that morning you have an aneurysm, or your mind is elsewhere, and you a split second there's an accident, you not risk the lives of these 50-70 people on your bus. So I'm bringing it down to the taxi driver, anybody like that.
Yes.
It could be somebody, a vendor who is preparing meals for breakfast in the morning. If that person is not taking care of themselves, a slip of the mind in preparing the meal or slip of the mind in anything in that morning could be disastrous in that day, on that day, sorry. You understand? So that's how important taking care of yourself is. I know some people hear things like this and believe that that's not me, that's textbook, that's for them big people. Yeah. I don't need to take care of my, because it's said in quote form, or you go on social media and see it in a pretty pic or in a pretty post.
Yes.
You understand? And you tell yourself it's not about you. You have to remember, this is what Everyday Lessons is about. It's about making you understand, you the listener, you the viewer, understand that this is not a superiority thing. This is not about who's better than. This is not about everybody's equal in this space. And we are here to let everybody know that you are part of this Everyday Lessons, because you too possess everything that every other human being possess, in terms of you can be self-aware, you can show empathy, you can do all of these things. Just like I saw something recently, let me just jump to this quick because it's almost closing time. Somebody said, what is the difference between a man with nothing and a man with everything? There's no difference.
Right.
Because a man with absolutely nothing is wanting something.
Right.
And a man with everything, you understand?
Nothing.
Not wants nothing. A man with everything is a little uncomfortable. He could be lonely too, because he has everything.
Okay.
You understand? You know, people will argue it and say, well, money don't bring happiness. And if I have money, yes, it's true. But there is a middle ground there, because somebody, and when I say a man with everything, understand, if you possess the power to get any and everything the world has out there, You could buy any and everything, but you cannot buy that peace of mind of knowing that, listen, in that bored state, you could feel bored enough to go and buy a bit, but would it really make you feel better?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And somebody with absolutely nothing will want to feel better, and money might help them. But the person with money mightn't help them.
Right.
So who it is really winning?
A mindset change.
Who it is winning? Is it the person with the money winning, the person with no money winning, or the person just in between who could navigate in a space of being self-aware, knowing that, listen, I'm cool here or I'm cool down here. You understand? So it's plenty to think about, and that's what this podcast is about every week. It's just giving you different perspective, making you look at self. Because somebody could be out there listening and everything we say, they smile. Reason being because I do that. But I function like that. So you're feeling better about yourself. So we just basically gave you a little more encouragement to be better. To continue being better. You dig? Closing words.
I just want to say thank you for tuning in to us today again. And I hope that, you've learned a little bit more today and you come out a little bit wiser than you were when you started. And just know that self-management is one of the things that you could do to get you on the road to being a little more emotionally intelligent.
Yes, sir. And as in Fang Style, every week, we leave you with a little bit of this. So shake your shoulders, free up yourself. Until next Monday. Have a good one, guys. We out.